KATC Weather Lab. Here's Rob's forecast.
Welcome back and welcome to the weekend. Unfortunately, it's going to be a sloppy start to the weekend with rain and storms, mostly tomorrow morning. But by the afternoon, the heavy-duty rain should be diminishing. And then after that, just plain old cloudy and cool. Might see some misty drizzles through this time tomorrow night after the heavy rains. But this is what's been going on. Got a low-pressure system that's developing down across South Texas, and that's going to be riding along the Texas coast and heading into Louisiana later on tonight through tomorrow during the day. So far, rainfalls of 2 to 6 inches quite common across southeast Texas, and a little bit more coming in spots. So they are worrying about some flood issues as well. In fact, they're more founded here than perhaps over by Louisiana, but we're going to get our good soaking. Just seeing some light sprinkles working their way into the area, but the heaviest rains just about edging into southwest Louisiana, where we're going to see moderate rain for a good part of the night, and then it gets heavier as we get closer to daybreak. Flood watch in effect for all of Acadiana, highest amounts across Texas. There is a flood warning for that county or two that's by the Lufkin area. Locally in Acadiana, we'll say mainly for tomorrow morning, 1 to 2 inches, maybe 3 likely. Isolated amounts could be more, but our guidance continues to be a little bit lower than it has been over the last couple of days. So certainly a good soaking, maybe some localized street flooding, ponding on the roadways, and perhaps some minor flooding of low-lying areas, and you know where they are, so be wary of that just in case. And a good 2 to 4 inch soaking for our friends off to the east as well. Look at this, flood watches all the way from the mid-Texas coast all the way over to the Florida panhandle. So here we got predictive radar showing that rain edging in as we go over the next several hours. It's going to be getting into northwestern sections of Acadiana, so rainy later on tonight, but the heavier rains mainly just about near Lake Charles on westward, and then they gradually push eastward, getting away from the dynamics for a little bit. So these showers weaken a little bit, but there's more heavy-duty showers and embedded storms pre-dawn hours. Here we are at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, and those storms continue to progress eastward as the morning wears on with locally heavy downpours. And then as we get closer to noon, things begin to quiet down, at least in Lafayette, likely by 2 o'clock for most spots in Acadiana. And then we're going to see cloud cover, maybe a few breaks in the clouds, but then some misty drizzles coming in as cooler air filters in as well. Here's the Futurecast model showing that area of low pressure as it pretty much goes along and just south of the I-10 corridor. Pretty much the same timing as well with the rainfall and the storms progressing across the area. And this low pressure will continue to move eastward through the afternoon hours and then clear out by 2 o'clock. And then in its wake, breezy and cooler conditions tomorrow night, getting into the 40s and staying in the 40s Sunday with wind chills upper 30s to lower 40s for most of our Sunday, so certainly a great weekend ahead. As for rainfall, here's the European model indicating that swath of 3 to 5 inches. Again, backing off on some of the numbers locally, closer to 1 to 2. Anything in purple is going to be close to 2 inches of rain, so keep that in mind. And here's the high resolution, well, this is the RPM model that we'll show you, and again showing the heaviest rains across southwest Louisiana, pushing 2 to 3, 4 in spots. Most areas catching 1 to 2 minimally, and isolated spots could see double that. That's the rule of thumb when we give you some of these numbers, but these numbers change for the different locales, so that changes with each and every model run. And here's the predictive radar model showing much the same, a good soaking, especially toward Lake Charles, maybe a 5-inch rainfall here in southeast Texas, and most of us catching at least 1 to 2, and this just goes to 2 o'clock in the afternoon, so the totals will be piling on farther to the east. But this gives you an idea that the models are in pretty good concert on how much rain we're going to see. Now, there is a minimal severe weather risk tomorrow, and this is called the Helicity Index, or a tornado spin potential, or the propensity for the atmosphere to corkscrew on up in some of these storms that does produce tornadoes. And the greatest risks are going to be where the hottest colors are, and watch what happens as we go through the mid to late morning. Notice St. Mary Parish, Terrebonne Parish, and the points to the east, that helicity value strong enough for the possibility of a couple of storms that could produce either damaging winds and or an isolated tornado at least through noon, and then a little bit later as you get into southeast Louisiana. So with that in mind, the Storm Prediction Center has most of Acadiana along and south of the I-10 corridor hatched in for just a marginal level 1 out of 5 risk for storms that could produce damaging winds or a tornado. But don't be surprised if this area gets hatched in first thing tomorrow morning. We'll get an update at about 1:30 in the morning. May go to yellow for a slight risk, a slightly elevated risk of severe weather. Staying in the 60s through tomorrow morning, then we start to cool off tomorrow afternoon, then heading down into the 40s and staying there as we head into Sunday. So breezy and mild. You can feel those breezes feeding the rains off to the west of us already. Rain and storms developing overnight tonight at 80%, 100% tomorrow. We'll say 1 to 2, 1 to 3 likely. Isolated spots could be a little bit more. So again, bottom line, travel not recommended first thing in the morning, but if you're going out for election day, the afternoon and evening should be fine. As we head into Sunday in the 40s, there you go. Clearing out for Monday, Tuesday. Light freeze or frost for Tuesday morning. And then our next weather system Thursday doesn't look nearly as wet as the one we will see tomorrow. So tomorrow, good day to just kind of sleep in.
Sleep in.
Unless you're a meteorologist, Daniel Phillips, Eric Zernick, who'll be on duty.
They'll be on watch, huh?
I'll be on watch too.
Right.
But probably from the house.
Yeah,
Fingers
the comfort
crossed.
of your own home.
It will dry out to get out
Yes,
in both, though.
yes, exactly.
Okay,
By
good.
the afternoon for sure.
All right. Thanks, Rob.